Hi viewers, tonight, I'm going to tell you a story about a cabin deep in the forest. A place where silence isn't peaceful, it's watching, and where a single lantern was the only light against the darkness. This story is called When the Lantern Flickered. Evan wasn't superstitious. He had spent years photographing abandoned cabins for his art projects. But that night, in the Blue Ridge Mountains, he stumbled across a cabin he had never seen marked on any map. It was strange. The cabin looked too intact. The wood wasn't rotting, the windows weren't broken, and yet, something about it felt wrong. Inside, dust coated everything. A single lantern sat on the wooden table. Next to it, a half-filled notebook, its pages yellowed and curling. Evan lit the lantern, just enough to see the words scrawled in heavy, panicked handwriting. It only comes when the lantern flickers. Evan laughed under his breath, assuming it was just some old campfire scare. He set up his camera, pointing it at the window, capturing the dense forest outside. Hours passed. The forest was silent, unnaturally silent. Not even crickets. And then, the lantern flickered. Just once. A brief tremor of light. Evan froze, his camera still recording. He turned toward the window. Through the thin glass, he thought he saw a shape. Not outside, but between the trees, shifting closer. He blinked. The lantern steadied. The shape was gone. He shook his head, forcing a laugh. Just nerves, just imagination. But when he checked his camera, the recording showed something else entirely. The flicker had lasted longer than he remembered. And in those frames, a figure leaned against the window, its face pressed flat against the glass. Evan's chest tightened. He looked at the window. Nothing there. He slammed the notebook shut, intending to leave. But as he reached the door, the lantern flickered again. This time, it didn't steady. The light sputtered, danced, then dimmed. And in that dim light, Evan saw movement inside the cabin. Shadows stretched unnaturally across the walls, bending in directions that didn't match the flame. One of them lifted its head. The figure from the window now stood inside the cabin. Its limbs were too long, its body thin like brittle branches. But its eyes were empty lanterns, glowing faintly with the same dying light. The creature whispered, not with words, but with breath. And as the lantern sputtered, Evan understood the warning left in the notebook. It only comes when the lantern flickers. Evan lunged for the door. But the handle was cold. Frozen. The lantern's flame went out completely. And in the total darkness, the thing moved closer, its empty lantern eyes glowing brighter in the void. The last sound the camera captured wasn't Evan's footsteps. It wasn't his scream. It was the hiss of a match, as another lantern lit itself, somewhere deeper inside the cabin. If you're hearing this, remember, if you ever find yourself in the woods, in a cabin, with only a lantern for light, don't stay when it flickers. Because when the lantern flickers, something is already watching you. If this story kept you on edge, don't let the flame go out here. Hit that like button to keep the lantern burning. Subscribe for more chilling tales waiting in the dark. And drop a comment below. Have you ever experienced something strange in the woods? And don't forget to share this video. You never know who else needs to hear the flicker in the dark.